What up, guys? It's the beginning of another week, and I'm here again to give you my thoughts, my view on some of the pairs on the market. I'm going to do with just two. I already put out my analysis on GU and EU, predicting where I think the market is going to go, using daily range theory. We already did, the first part for the EU and GU, yeah, and it was great. So I just put the second part of my prediction on GU and EU, explaining where price would be going. So in this one, I'm going to be predicting the next destination of price for BTC, USD, Bitcoin, and then USD, Swedish krona, USDSEK. And so, with no further ado, let's just get into this. I'm starting one, and to go, we always have to do top-down analysis, right? And currently, you can see I'm on the 4-hour. So what I'll do is that I'll move to the monthly, so that we get things rolling. Okay, and so to begin on the monthly, it is very evident, simple, straightforward that we are inside of a monthly bullish fair value gap, right? We are inside of a monthly bullish fair value gap. Yeah, so there. And then another thing I can see is this swing high on the monthly. Okay, so on the monthly, what we can see is that we had this 3 candle formation, 1, 2, 3, with this gap leaving the fair value gap. But then here we ran the high of this candle, dropped inside the range of the candle, then we ran the high of this candle as well, dropped inside that range, after tapping into this fair value gap, and then after taking the liquidity above this candle high, we dropped into it, failing to displace below the 50% of this bullish fair value gap, right? And so let's move into the weekly. Great. And so inside the weekly, we can see that we've got these two fair value gaps which form the monthly. And so I'll just reduce it to this one, which will be the area of concentration for this, the area of concentration. So we have tapped into this fair value gap. So because we are coming from the monthly, we would have to move on to the lower time frames to make so that this makes sense. Sense to us, right? Now let's go into the daily and the 4-hour to make things clearer for us. So now on the daily, what we can see here on the daily is that we traded into that fair value gap once, went up, came in here into this daily fair value gap, ran below it again, sweeping this low, grabbing liquidity below this low, running above, and then disrespecting this daily fair value gap, right? So initially we saw some resistance from that daily fair value gap to the downside, exactly. We saw resistance to the downside, failed to displace below the low, and then we run above, right? Then we are here at the moment. So let us go into the 4-hour to make things super clear. Okay, let us go into the 4-hour to make things super clear and bring proper understanding to this thing. Okay, so inside the 4-hour, right, inside the 4-hour, here we go. Let me just do this quickly on the daily before we come here. Let me do this quickly. I just want to put the range on so that it becomes easier for me. Okay, so from this high to the low, from the 50%, right, of the refined fair value gap, the weekly. Okay, great. And then here on the weekly, let me just run through this. So we have the high here from the monthly, and the low which was formed inside that monthly PDRA. Okay, and so at the 75%, we see that we had this order block right here, 1, 2 order block, right? So price retraces into that, taps into that order block, runs down, okay, consolidates just above the 50% DRT level, breaks through, goes here, taps in there into that monthly, or the monthly fair value gap, which we have refined on the weekly. We run above into premium, into this gap at the 50%, the measuring gap. We run down to sweep this low right here. And then what we do, we run above the fair value gap at the 25 DRT level, which is the breakaway gap. And so ideally, what I would anticipate is that we have support. We see support in here to trade what? Up, taking the liquidity at the 50%, right? Taking the liquidity here and here, okay, here and then here, and then consequently target the original consolidation with this kind of signature, the low resistance liquidity, right? Low resistance liquidity. So on the daily, this is how, I'm seeing the whole thing. There's the rationale on the daily. Now when we go into the 4 hour, the 4 hour just makes things, a bit clearer. Now let me just get into that quickly. And then, so here on the 4 hour, look at this. Going into this, we created this fair value gap right here into it, created the fair value gap just here, this tiny fair value gap out of it, which RU terms the sharp term. Okay, traded away from it, came in here, forming this. Let me take this guy from the daily away so that my chart doesn't start becoming messy too early. Okay, so here, this, okay, and there we go. Exactly. Okay, so we run into that high time frame PDRA, creating this fair value gap. We disrespect it, form this fair value gap here, find support inside that fair value gap. We move up, price trades back into that inverted fair value gap. We see another support here, and then just then we see this thing get formed here, this fair value gap formed here. So I'll just move this, okay, so that it makes it simple and the chart cleaner. Okay, and what we can see here is that bullish PDRA is holding. Bullish PDRAs are holding, and so from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these bearish candles form what? The order block, the bullish order block. And inside that bullish order block is where we find this inverted fair value gap. And that inverted fair value gap, that's what gives support to price, and then moves price above. And then just here we can see this low, high, lower low, higher high, making these two candles, these two bullish candles are what? Bullish breaker. And then we see that that bullish breaker aligns with the fair value gap, the inverse fair value gap, which was created. So from this high to the low is where we have that. To the low is where we have that breaker, right? And then it falls in place with the lower quadrant of the inverse fair value gap. Okay, so that is what I'm seeing right here. And then right when price comes back, taps into that, what we do, price runs away from this, leaving this 1 2 1 2 consecutively down closed candles, forming what? A bullish order block. So when we take and stretch, stretch it, you see what we find here, that when price taps on the tip taps the tip of that bullish order block, what do we see? Price starts making a run high. Okay, it makes a run what? High, breaking the gap at the 50%. I already took it, the 25%, which was on the daily. You see, I already took those lines away just to make the charts cleaner. And then you can see that this gap also exists here and then here, but when we go into the daily, it might encompass these two. But on the 4-hour, you see that we have this. So at the moment, we see that price has done what? Broken above the 25 DRT level. Bullish PDRs are holding, so we have this inverse fair value gap holding. This inverse fair value gap inside this entire order block is holding, right here. The tip of the order block is also holding right here, all pushing price up, signaling that price is willing to continue higher. And so moving on, to play it safer, what I would do to get an entry is that I would wait for price to print a bullish fair value gap up here, and then I enter, targeting at least the 50% over here, which will have this high, right? This liquidity, the liquidity that rests above this high, we take it, and then we look for higher prices to at least the 75 DRT level. Okay, so at the moment what we can see is that bullish PTRs are holding, and then this is the kind of signature I always look for when price enters a key level. So a fair value gap into the higher time frame PDRA and a fair value gap outside the higher time frame PDRA, and this constitutes a valid buy for me on BTCUSD. And when price retraces into this guy, right, the inverse fair value gap pushes price up, forming this bullish order block. Price retraces into that order block, okay, specifically to the inverse fair value gap. We form a proportion block. Ideally this would be a proportion block because there's an order block being formed from another order block, so this is called a proportion block. But to keep this simple, let's just say this is also another order block. So price retraces, taps into that, and then see where we are going. And so I'll wait for another bullish fair value gap up, and then we target. So this is something. So a bullish fair value gap, if a bullish fair value gap is formed, let's say around this area, yeah, place your loop somewhere around here, your SL, and then you target at least the 50% for our first TP, targeting the high, the liquidity above this place high, and then that already gives a 1:2.7 what risk to reward ratio, right? Risk to reward ratio. And if you want an aggressive entry, it will be right here. For market open, you could enter, right? Put your SL here or below this low, preferably, and then target the 50%, and that gives a 1:3, 1:3, setup. This low is where the stop loss is. And so I anticipate that price goes higher on BTCUSD. I'm bullish on BTCUSD, so that is my thoughts on what could happen on BTCUSD. Okay, and so let's move on to the next pair and then wrap this up quickly. I don't want to look at a lot of pairs, and so that helps me with things. It helps me stay in touch with my pairs, if I should put it that way. And then this is a pair I always go back to. I run away from it, I go back to it, I go back to it because I want to see how it's playing out. And so just like BTCUSD, let's start from the higher time frame for me, and on this one is going to be the monthly as well. Okay, it is going to be the monthly as well. Now prior to this, I was looking at USD, Swedish krona, and I was looking at this bullish fair value gap, looking for it to hold and push price up, but that bullish fair value gap did what? It failed. That bullish fair value gap failed, right? And so once it failed to give support to the upside, what would I anticipate? That when price retrace into this region, areas of this region, we would see what? Continuous sell pressure to the downside. Okay, continuous sell pressure to the downside. And so, like always, what I do, very simple, I mark my swing low because I'm looking for bearish prices. I mark my swing low, and then I go into the lower time frame to make sense of what could potentially happen in price. So over here, what's clear is that we have swept liquidity to the left side over here. So we've run liquidity here, run liquidity here, right? Then we are going up, and then over here, so you can see that we have run liquidity to this side and run liquidity to this side as well. I hope, yep, that's true. As you can see, we have actually done that. Let me show you. Okay, where is it? Exactly. Great. Yes, we have run liquidity to this side as well. So let me go into the weekly and then see. Okay, so this is what I'm seeing on the weekly currently. Let me just come in here a bit. Okay, great. I hope this is evident when the video comes out. This is clear. Okay, so as you can see, we've run liquidity to the left side, and also I've already shown we've run liquidity to the left side down here as well. And so marking my range would be from this high to this low, right? So the high right here and the low which has already been established. And then what I can see is that we have this 75 gap over here. See, we have this gap over here as well on the monthly, which I annotated with these two lines. We have disrespected it, formed a bearish fair value gap, And with the way price has formed here, it is quite simple to expect, or quite obvious, that we would see some retracement into this bullish this bearish fair value gap, into this possibly inverted monthly fair value gap, and then after that we come down, targeting what? This relatively equal lows. Where is it? This, the liquidity that's rests beneath this relatively equal lows, going to the 50%, and then come here, right? So we are looking at the buy side of the curve and then the sell side of the curve. So what I want to see is price retracing here into this region, you know, and then to give us a signal that it wants to go down, and then we can ride the sells, sweep this low, come in here, you know, target this low, and then ultimately come to the 25 DRT level, right? 25 DRT level, and then just at the 25 DRT level, you see that there is this low just beneath it. There is this low, this fair value gap, and then this fair value gap at the 25 DRT level, and this is on the weekly. So this is going to be something expansive, okay? And on the monthly, this is it. So we've already tapped into this fair value gap. Right here. And so, but I am not betting on this to push price in it further. I would like to see price run up, run this high, the liquidity above this high, okay, get into the greater portion of this, and probably even see us touch into this inverse fair value gap from the monthly before we run down. Okay, so this is quite straightforward, unlike the BTC, which I had to do a lot of time, but this is quite straightforward and easy to see. Okay, this is quite straightforward and easy to see. Okay, so we came from this bearish fair value gap, strong move down, created another bearish fair value gap from a fair value gap. So this makes this a very, very, you know, high probability fair value gap, coupled with the inverse fair value gap at the 75 DRT level, okay, overlapping with this fair value gap right here. And so when we get see price enter this place, the only thing I'll be looking for is sales, right? Only thing I'll be looking for is sales from here down into this place, okay, into this place. So this has been my analysis on BTC USD and USD Swedish krona, guys. If you care to look at these pairs, look at them and then see how it plays out, okay? But you know how we do it, you know how I do it over here. I put it out for you to see for yourself before it happens, okay? And it's simple, straightforward, and precise analysis. So if you like the way we do it, if you like the way you see it, if you like the way you like it, then share the video, like it, subscribe, turn the notification on, so that another time when another big move is coming, you get notified from me, and then you try and then make something off of it, okay? So guys, thank you for watching, and then see you later.